Chapter 33. God established a line of light from his throne in heaven down to Kayu. By the presence of 500 million angels maintained he this light of heaven with mortals. That which was inspired of God came to the soul of Kayu. What God spake, that spake Kayu. And God so spake through Kayu, that man might not know it was God speaking, for he desired to inspire men to self-culture, instead of relying on gods and angels as heretofore. In the language of Kayu, the Great Spirit was called Shang-Te, but the word Te was God. The words, the Shang-Te, were the gods. Kayu said, Behold, man hath blockaded the road to wisdom. In one place he hath heaped up thousands of books of the ancients, in another place he wasteth time in rites and ceremonies. Our labor is to remodel the whole, by choosing from all the past, that which is the best. Te, that is, God, will guide us in this. We must, therefore, make one book acknowledging the ever-present Great Spirit, and his one, Shang-Te, that is, true God. And this book must contain all the glory and beauty now contained in the 700 sacred books of the Empire. And since there are 486 books on the intermediate world, which no man can learn, we must take from them all their soundest parts, and make one book thereof. And in the same connection, there being 1270 books on the spirits of the dead, and their testimonies of the lower and the higher heavens, we must make one book thereof. And of the 2200 books on magic, and on conjuring spirits, and on second sight, and second hearing, we must make one book thereof. Of books of families, there are more than 4,000, which shall also be condensed into one book. Of histories, there are more than 4,000 books, which shall be condensed into one book. Of law books, there are more than 12,000 books, and of the precedents of judges' decrees, there are more than 30,000 books. All of these shall be condensed into one book. Of provinces, and of the empire, and of the governors and emperors thereof, there are 2,700 books, which shall be condensed into one. And of government, there are 700 books, which shall be condensed into one. Of caste, there are 490 books, and of proprieties, 320, and all of these shall be condensed into one book. Kayu, continuing, said, My work is to bring confusion to a termination. Of doctrines and laws and rites and ceremonies and philosophies, of both heaven and earth, we have had enough. In a dark age, Shang-Te, that is, true God, giveth his commandments and injunctions. He showeth the people what is right, and what is wrong. In my day, the people know these things, but they do not practice them. Even the preachers and conductors of ceremonies in the temples, who proclaim righteousness and charity, and good works, do not practice what they preach. They live in ease and luxury, but tell us to go give to the poor. Yea, and they threaten us with hell, if we do it not. Of these different doctrines, there are 700 kinds in the sacred books, and they all condemn the followers of the others. Whereupon, to escape the damnation of hell, a man would need to do sacrifice more than 4,000 days every year. This is not possible to any man. For there are but 365 days in a year. Nor is it possible for any man to learn all the books, nay, 1,000 years would not suffice. God forbid that I may add more to the burden we have already. And I know he will preserve in our abridgment all that is good in the whole of them. Since we cannot live according to the multitude of doctrines and philosophies, we must abridge them within the scope of man. Neither must we cut any of them off entirely, or we lead the followers thereof into rebellion. Since we have so many law books, and so many judges' decrees, all of which a man must learn before he can become a judge of the court, the which is impossible, we must cut them down into a few simples, but sufficient to cover the rules of discretion in judgment. Better is it to throw the judge of the court partly on his own judgment and responsibility, than for him to be a blank, as to judgment, simply reading the decree of a preceding judge. And as to the religion of this man, or that man, behold, it hath come to pass, that each, in his own order, performeth his rites and ceremonies and sacrifices and prayers, like a trained horse, in a showman's circle, going round and round, and knowing not the meaning thereof. For it is come to pass that the religions have made machines of the worshippers, the law books have made machines of the courts, the books of government have made machines of governors and emperors. I am sent into the world to make men of men, and women of women. There is no religion to suit me, therefore I make one. There is no government of the empire to suit me, therefore I devise one. There is no system in society, therefore I make one. I am not sent into the world to destroy what is, or what hath been, there are enough evil men to do that. I am sent to cull the harvest, and to gather choice seed from what now is, and what hath been. For the seed I plant is selected, not to be planted in the ocean, nor on the moon, nor in a far-off country, but to be planted in Kenya, that is, China, and in Kenya I will plant it.